Hey, this dirty trucking. Just at home. This video has nothing to do with trucking. It has nothing to do with my stuff going on with me. But it has everything to do with these constant news stories I'm seeing on TV here in Detroit, Michigan area, where these kids, young, older, teenagers, are finding the handguns in the home, and you shooting yourself or shooting somebody else in the home because you want to snoop around the house and find a handgun and play with it. You have no clue of what you're holding in your hand. It is a gun. That is a dangerous weapon. Whether it has the cartridge in it with the bullets or not. It could be a bullet in a chamber. You don't check that. You're a kid. Do you know anything about that? A bullet being in a chamber. While you sitting there pointing the gun, putting your finger on the trigger, there could be a bullet in the chamber. And you out here shooting yourself. Most recent story today, a 16-year-old shot himself. Where'd you get your handgun? Now, you 16. You a teenager. You know better. Let me tell you the results of this. You kids snooping around the house, and they stress the importance of your parents putting the handguns up, putting them somewhere, lock them away. But kids snoop. I'm just gonna put that out there. Kids snoop. You can have it locked up, hidden away, but they will snoop. Now, if you don't have it locked up in something where they can get hold to it, when your back is turned or you out of the home, your kids are snooping. They are watching you. They may have watched you put the gun up out the way. And while you're away, we all been kids. We all done snooped in our parents' room, or we done snooped around the house looking in shit. We all done it. But see, what's missing is that back in the day, old school fear instilled in you not to touch this shit or play with this. It's not in you. You playing with handguns and pulling the trigger and shooting yourself or shooting somebody else in the home. Other story before that. This happened back to back. 8-year-old got shot in the home. 4 adults in the home laying up there asleep. Ages of the kids I heard range from 1 to something, but an 8-year-old got shot. In critical condition. This prior to the story I just saw today, the 16-year-old shot himself with a handgun. What are you doing? What's going on in y'all's heads that you want to snoop around the house and pick up a gun to play with? And then you don't realize the magnitude of what you have in your hand. That is a weapon. That is a killing machine. If you pull that trigger, a bullet will come out of it. And that bullet has no name on it. And that bullet will go where you have that gun aimed at. Playing with a gun, aiming it at yourself, pulling the trigger, you gonna get shot. Playing with a gun, aiming it at someone else in the home, that individual's gonna get shot. Playing with a gun and you pull the trigger and you can't handle the power of the fire and that gun falls rapidly, that bullet is not subject to go anywhere at that point. Why are you playing with guns? Do you know what you're doing to your parents? Your parents are going to jail. Parents are going to jail for this. Do you want to do something that will cause your home to be disrupted? Your parents are going to jail for that because you're a minor they got hold of a handgun in the home that you know you're not supposed to be messing with. But you did it anyway, playing with it. It fired, and either you or somebody else got injured. But now your parents got to be held accountable for it. Do you want to see your parents go to jail? You're going to end up in foster care or living with a relative while your parents are in jail serving jail time because you went snooping around the house, finding a handgun to play with, and decided you want to play with the handgun. It fired, and somebody got shot, whether it be yourself or somebody else. Why are you snooping, looking for handguns? What's going on in your mind that you actually went over there and picked up a handgun? You know, I can go in a house all day if I was a kid. Now, my father was down south, old school, Mississippi. My father kept a shotgun linked upside the front door as he slept on the couch. Because that's where my father slept at. Because he didn't want nobody coming in there on his two daughters. He had his right at the door. We knew not to touch that motherfucker. We get our ass beat. We don't play with guns in the house. We knew, me and my sister knew not to touch that motherfucker. Period. But you kids today don't, you know that, but you ain't doing that. You still picking up these handguns, playing with them. What is your fascination about handguns? Kill. The minute you find that handgun and place it in your hand, you have just placed your life and anybody else around you life in danger because you are handling a weapon that you are not trained to handle. You're too young to touch or handle or mess with. You have no clue of what you are doing. Your parents will go to jail for that. Now, the household where the 4 adults was laying up there asleep with all these kids, that age, just up. Now, that's a little odd. Something wrong there. I don't know why all 4 was asleep. Something else going on there. Somebody should have been up, attending and watching those kids. And they wouldn't have got hold to that gun that fired and shot that 8-year-old boy. I believe he was shot in the head. And the news, you know, they come down hard on the parents. They do. Because it's the parents' obligation to make sure you keep these handguns away from your kids' reach where they can find it. But parents, they got these handguns to keep the home safe. I don't care how good they hide these handguns. Kids snoop. Ain't nobody gonna tell me as a kid you didn't snoop around the house, go in your parents' room, go through stuff, looking for stuff, and found some stuff you wasn't supposed to find. Kids snoop. They got a handgun in the house. It's for the protection of the house. Now, you don't want it hid so tough that if something arises in the home where a break-in or anything and you need to get to it, you can't get to it because you had to hide it that tough because you got kids in the house. You don't want your handgun hid that tough. What if a break-in actually happened? You got to go slide wall panels and this and whatnot to get to it now. because you're keeping your kids safe. Yes, you are. You're keeping your kids safe. But now, if something happens in the home, you can't get to your weapon quick enough to defend yourself. And I say this to make a point to you kids. The average adult that has a weapon in the home is for protection of the home. And they don't want to have to. Now, we're going to keep it secure. They're going to do what they need to keep it secure from you, but you need to do your part. Stop snooping. Stop finding your parents' weapons. Stop playing with them. Stop pointing them, aiming them, and pulling the trigger like it's a fucking toy. It's not a toy to play with. The fear is not in you because you're still snooping. The handgun is for protection of the home. And if something happens, the parent needs to protect the home. And you got this gun hid so bad, so tough, because you's keeping it away from the kids, which is a good thing. But now you facing danger in the home. You got to knock over stuff trying to get to your handgun because you had to hide it that tough because your kids snooping and you're afraid they'll find it. But they finding them anyway. And you know why these kids finding them? Because you snooping. You nosy. You snooped around the house. You know your parents had that handgun in there. Why did you go get it? Why did you pick it up? How did you pull the trigger and shoot yourself? How did you pull the trigger and shoot that 8-year-old? You know what's wrong with that question there? It's the how did you. The how did you is wrong because it shouldn't have been a how did you, because you know why? You shouldn't have picked it up. You shouldn't have found it. Your parents are trying to protect you from harm's way by having a handgun in the home. I hope that's what it all is for. And there's not nothing else. I'm talking about parents who are legitimately, most average adults have a handgun in a home for protection. But if you kids don't stop snooping, finding your parents' handguns, it won't be able to protect themselves. Because you want to know why? They ain't going to be able to get to their weapon quick enough. Because they had to keep it hid because of the law here. Make sure it was locked up tight and tidy out the way for you finding it. And they ain't going to be able to get to it quick enough. I'm not saying have it in reach of where the kids can see it. In reach of where the adult know where it is. If something jump off and they need to get to it. But you kids are not helping by snooping around the house, finding these handguns, playing with them, and pulling the trigger, either by accident or just playing with it. All it takes is a hair fracture movement of your finger, and it'll make that trigger fire. The guns, weapons got a little weight on it. For a 8-year-old, a 16-year-old, or anybody younger than that, holding it in their hand. And on top of the weight of the gun, the firepower of it, after you pull that trigger, could throw you backwards. It'll snatch that gun out your hand. Now you got a weapon that is fired, falling free. You don't know what's going to happen now or who it's going to happen to. Kid, let me tell you something. Stop doing stupid stuff that will lead to the disruption of your home. When you are a minor, you get hold to a handgun, the law here in Michigan is going to come down on your parents and they're going to be locked up. Do you want to see that happen? Do you want to be away from your parents? Do you want your parents in jail because you snooped around the house, found that handgun, injured yourself or injured somebody else in the home, or took it to the school for show and tell? Why would you take a gun to the school for show and tell? Why is you looking for something like that to take to the school, to play with in the home, to show your friends in the home? Why are you looking for that? It is for protection of the home. And your parents can't protect you if you snooping, finding the handgun, and putting the whole household in jeopardy now. And their freedom is in jeopardy if you fire it, get shot, injure yourself. The law here in Michigan gonna come down on you. I'm telling you, stop snooping around the house. I don't care if you know where it is right now. You better not touch it. You better not pick it up. You better not tell nobody where it is. You better not go near it. Leave the guns alone. Go do your homework. Go do something else. Quit snooping around the house, picking up handguns and shooting yourself or somebody else. Keep your hands off of them. Leave them alone.